Imagine a land high in the Himalayas, tiny, ancient, and nestled like a jewel between rising powers. A Buddhist kingdom ruled by monarchs, watched over by icy peaks and prayer flags fluttering in mountain winds. A protectorate caught between India and China, and a people who voted away their monarchy, only to watch their kingdom vanish into the folds of modern geopolitics. Welcome to the Library of Lost Lands, where we delve into the stories of countries that once were, but are no longer with us. The Kingdom of Sikkim was a small Himalayan monarchy that existed from 1642 until 1975. Its capital was Gangtok, and its flag featured a red border with a central Buddhist wheel. In its final years, Sikkim had a population of just over 200,000, made up primarily of Lepchas, Bhutis, and Nepali-speaking communities. Though landlocked and small, it sat in a strategically vital position between Tibet, Nepal, Bhutan, and India. Founded in the 17th century by the Namgyal dynasty, Sikkim emerged as a Buddhist monarchy in the style of Tibet. Its rulers traced spiritual legitimacy to the Chogyal, or Dharma kings, but Sikkim was never left alone for long. It was invaded by Nepal in the 18th century and later pulled into British India's sphere in the 19th, becoming a princely protectorate. By the time India gained independence in 1947, Sikkim remained separate but tied, a protectorate under Indian suzerainty, not a full member of the new union. It was a curious arrangement, neither truly independent nor truly Indian. For much of its history, Sikkim thrived quietly. Its strategic location made it vital in the great game between Britain, China, and later India. The kingdom maintained a unique Tibeto-Buddhist identity, with sacred monasteries like Rumtek and lush valleys growing cardamom and tea. The Chogyal, while traditional, introduced reforms, education, and diplomacy. In the 20th century, Sikkim became a crossroads of cultures. Tibetan Buddhism, Nepali folklore, and Indian political influence all mingled here. It became a favorite destination of the hippie trail in the 1960s and 1970s as Western backpackers sought out spiritual journeys. There was even talk, brief and optimistic, that Sikkim might become an internationally recognized buffer state like Bhutan or a peaceful Himalayan Switzerland. But this kingdom was sitting atop fault lines: political, ethnic, and geopolitical. The Nepali-speaking majority often felt sidelined by the Bhutia Lepcha aristocracy aligned with the monarchy. The rise of democracy movements in the 1970s sparked protests demanding political reform and eventually integration with India. China's annexation of Tibet in 1950 made Sikkim's buffer status untenable. It now bordered two superpowers locked in tension. Internally, the monarchy resisted democratic changes, and externally, India grew more assertive, stationing troops, managing Sikkim's foreign policy, and integrating it into the Indian economy. In 1973, riots and protests shook Gangtok. Accusations of rigged elections and repression by the Chogyal's regime led to public unrest. India intervened, first with advisors, then more directly. A referendum was held in 1975 under Indian oversight, where over 97% allegedly voted to abolish the monarchy. As with all electoral victories of that magnitude, we shall leave it to you, dear viewer, to make your own conclusions. Soon after, Sikkim was absorbed into India as its 22nd state. The Chogyal, Palden Thondup Namgyal, protested the move and went into symbolic exile. He died in New York in 1982, his kingdom reduced to memory. But the story doesn't end there. The monasteries of Sikkim remain active, and the Rumtek Monastery continues to be a spiritual hub for Tibetan Buddhism. Gangtok is now a thriving capital, balancing Indian modernity with Himalayan heritage. The Lepcha language and culture survive, though with increasing challenges. Symbols of the monarchy, including the Old Palace, remain tourist attractions, but are fading in political relevance. Even today, some Sikkimese remember the days of the kingdom with mixed feelings: nostalgia, pride, and questions about lost sovereignty. Sikkim was a land caught in the crosswinds of history. Too small to stand alone, too distinct to be easily absorbed, a kingdom that walked a tightrope between empires and ultimately lost its balance. Was Sikkim's integration a democratic choice, or a quiet annexation under pressure, a liberation or a dissolution? Let us know what you think in the comments. And if you enjoy exploring vanished nations, untold histories, and the fragile threads of sovereignty, subscribe and ring the bell for more episodes of the Library of Lost Lands.